So broad ETFs just keep rising, and S&P 500 grew by more than 3% just in June. Let me show you how my portfolio of about 60,000 euros is doing, and I'll show you a big mistake I made with one of my stocks that dropped by 89%. Hello finance people, my name is Robert, and I'm here to share with you my learnings and experience about personal finance as a European. So let's just jump into my portfolio tracker and I'll explain the situation. So if we take a look at stocks, you can see that I have right now 4 stocks left and they did pretty well. I'm up by almost 9% just in June, and also that's 1,100 euros. And Tesla, Microsoft and Amazon had a great run, so they all went up by double digit. You can see that Nokia did a little dip there, but really doesn't count, 34 euros. I'm not too devastated by it. And by the way, if you want to download this tracker, I'll leave a link in the video description. You can just grab it from there. But I want to show you one stock that I had here last month, but now finally got rid of it. And let me show you the case here. I have here NIO, which is traded in NASDAQ, or no, sorry, New York Stock Exchange, and it's the electric car company from China. When I bought it, it was $39, and now when I sold it, it's $4. You can see that I made a loss of about, I don't know, I went from $275 to $29. That's, I think, 89% drop. So how did I let this happen? Now, I think there are 2 reasons. First of all, I just did not follow this stocks. I just bought it, and then for 2-3 years, I did not look at it at all. I didn't look when US was posing some sanctions on China. I didn't look which type of companies are involved with that. I didn't look at any of that. I didn't look at the data for how well NIO is doing in terms of sales and things like that. I just didn't look at all. And that's kind of the big part of stock investing. If you're looking into individual stocks, you do need to keep a track of them. And the second reason I think also contributes to the first one is that I just invested so little that I didn't care enough. If this was 10 times the amount, so 3,000, then I would care. But because it was 275 and it wasn't that much, so I wasn't paying attention to it enough. And you can see that if you're not ready to at least quarterly look into your stocks, then don't buy individual stocks, because you might end up like I did. However, if you want to just invest something long term and that you don't need to check every quarter, every month, then you go to broad ETFs, because there your whole goal is to stay there for 5, 10, even 20 years. So you don't care if it drops for a couple months, in a year. It just doesn't matter, because you're building it for the long term. So let's take a look at crypto, and you can see in crypto I had a bit of a bloodbath this month. Well, not really bloodbath, but I mean it was down by almost 9%, and that's almost 1,000 euros drop in this month. But that was kind of driven by 2 things. Well, actually mostly by Bitcoin, because that's the biggest stake I have. You can see that most of my loss came from Bitcoin. I'm not too devastated, because the last month I think it was up by 12%, so I'm good. This is just part of being in crypto. I've been investing for the last 7 years. There are a few mistakes that I really wish I hadn't made. Without them, my portfolio would have been probably double the size. So if you don't want to lose money like I did, join my newsletter where I talk about investing in personal finance from a European perspective. Just click on the first link in video description to sign up. So if we take a look at my biggest stake, that's ETFs, you can see that I'm up by 5.5% there. So that's 1,800 euros just in June. Now, I have biggest stake in VUSA, which tracks the S&P 500, which is in euros. I bought it in euros. So this stock is in euros, but the underlying asset is in dollars. And if we compare that to S&P 500, which did about 3.3%, you can see that I am well above that. I guess there was again some fluctuation with the currencies, and that's why I'm seeing such a big difference. Nothing else to report. Pretty good month. If you can make 6% on your ETFs, you cannot complain, because I'm looking at 10-12% per year, so I'm kind of halfway there. But we've also had a few months that it dipped this year, so it is fluctuating somewhat. So if I look at my peer-to-peer lending, that's going steady as a train. Every month I'm getting about 20 euros from both from Mintos and Esketit. And right now, Esketit is looking that it has a slightly higher return on investment. I think when I last checked in the dashboard, it was 14%, whereas Mintos had about 10% return on investment. So I just need to see how that works out. But I've been there now for about a year with Mintos, and with Esketit maybe a bit less. I think it was a half a year with them. So going really well, no complaints. I've seen that Mintos adds a lot of new services. They added ETFs and stuff like that. Not sure I'm gonna look into those yet. It's just not interesting enough. And if we look at overall performance, my month was pretty good. You can see that the drops came from basically from crypto. Otherwise, I would have had even better month. I'm up by 3.3%, and I'm just below the S&P 500. So basically, Bitcoin dragged me a little bit. Otherwise, it would have been higher than S&P 500. Other than that, I'm happy with this. So that means in this month, I made about 2,000 euros in profit. Obviously, it's on paper. I didn't take it out. We're just speculating here. I don't know about you, but when I started investing, I felt very anxious about stock investing. It got to a point where market fluctuation would influence my mood for the day. But then I discovered a few methods to better cope with it. That's why I created this video right here, where I'll explain 6 methods that help me get rid of my anxiety related to investing.